Hi, Michael Costa. This is Bonnie, and I'm coming at you from Toronto. And you being having grown up in Michigan, I'm sure you crossed the border a few times to come visit us.
I mean, Michigan is Canada light. You know,
Yes.
you get on the 401 there, you cross the Ambassador Bridge, and I've spent a lot of time in Toronto and a
Yep.
lot of time in Canada. Great comedians come out of up north, and
Yes, sir. Yep.
yeah, I like to think that Canadians and Americans share a lot of similarities. Take it easy. I know Trudeau and Trump are a lot different, but
Yeah,
when it,
yeah. We, we,
when it,
we could do a whole comedy special just on that alone, for
I
sure.
mean,
But
look,
I want to ask you, Michael, I know that before we talk about this great special that you have coming up, how hard has it been for you? I mean, look, it's been hard for all of us, but you making your life your career as a stand-up, not being able to go out there and be on stage, that had to have been a huge adjustment over this period of time.
Yeah, it has. Spent 15 years doing stand-up comedy, and now stand-up comedy has been taken away from all of us comedians. Before I start playing my tiny violin, I also work on The Daily Show, and The Daily Show
Right.
has continued to air and broadcast shows. So I still have a job. I'm still getting paid. Thank you, Comedy Central. But the art form that I love and the art form that I've dedicated my life to, which is standing in front of an audience, slightly elevated with an amplification device, that is not happening right now, and I miss it, and I can't wait to get back out there. A small kernel of reward for all of that hard work is this special that's coming out on Friday.
Absolutely, which was shot pre-pandemic, of course. So what I love about this is that you go back home. It's set like in Detroit and stages in New York, and then of course in LA. So when you were back home, let's start there. I mean, obviously that's the closest to your heart. How much do you love being on stage in your home city?
I there's a reason that Detroit is the biggest font on the poster. There's a reason that we
Yeah.
started
Okay.
in Detroit. There's a reason
Yeah.
that the Gem Theater where we shot this was beautiful and big and showbiz. I wanted to make sure everyone knew that's where I started, and I want everyone to know that this is a great city for comedy. I also then wanted to show the viewer that comedy isn't always like that. And sometimes you're in a basement in New York City, and half the audience maybe doesn't speak English. And other times you're performing in Los Angeles in front of a very beautiful but dumb audience. And your job is to make all those people laugh and make all those people enjoy your comedy. So that's what this special is trying to achieve.
Yeah, and I love your comedy because you pick on, what our human behavior, what I love. And there's a bit in this where you're talking about, going on a vacation driving versus going on a plane, which is we can totally relate to that right now because who really is allowed to go on a plane or you shouldn't be going on a plane. So it's very relevant.
Yeah, great. I mean, and Canadians drive. You know,
Canadians drive,
when
yeah, we do.
I was touring in Canada, I would say, "Hey, where's the show tomorrow?" And they would go, "Oh, it's in Grand Junction." I'd say, "Okay, so how far away is that?" And they'd be like 13 and a half hour drive. And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Canadians drive. And when you do drive, you pack up the trunk, bring the blender, bring the treadmill, bring the tax returns just in case the revenue service calls. Canadians pack and they drive.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's true. We do. So I can totally relate to it. And another bit you have, which makes me laugh so hard, is that when you when you have to lock your door on your car, you have to hear that beep. Oh my God, that is me. Like I will press my fob 50 times just to make sure I hear that
Why?
beep and make sure I can go to bed and not worry about my car getting broken into.
Look, there's all different types of pollution. Okay, the pollution that gets all the publicity is the chimney stacks that shoot smoke into the air and litter. But there's also noise pollution. Everybody,
Right.
lock your car and walk away. You don't have to keep going.
Right. You're right. You're right. Thank you for that tip. I appreciate that. I want to know who your comedy heroes are.
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Grew up loving Dennis Miller. I grew up watching Chris Rock, that command of the stage. Very universal but edgy comedy. I grew up listening. My parents had Bill Cosby records. They used to sit on the floor listening to Bill Cosby. And one way or another, Jerry Seinfeld. My parents gave me his sign language book when I was a kid, and I just couldn't stop reading it. And one way or another, all of those comedians influence you. And I think if you watch my special, you'll see, oh, that's a little bit of this, that's a little bit of this, that's a little bit of this. Hopefully not. I don't feel too much like them, but those were the people I watched growing up.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I can see that. And I want to ask you too, because you started like before you did comedy, you're a tennis player. Like you had a career that you could have done that. Why did you decide to stop and do comedy? I guess you
Well,
can't be really funny on the tennis courts. I don't know.
yeah, tennis isn't super funny. The shorts can be funny, but
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
yeah. Well, when you're trying to be a professional athlete, you don't stop out of your own volition. Usually you stop because you're not good enough. And I wasn't good enough. I kept losing, and in tennis, you're going to lose a lot, but you got to every 1 or 2 weeks a year, you got to win the whole tournament. That wasn't happening with me. I made $11,000 over 4 years on the professional tennis tour. And eventually I ran out of money, and I used to write little observations and jokes in a notebook before my matches to help relieve stress. And when I finally finished tennis, I took those notebooks and I went up on stage, and here we are.
Right. Wow. And lastly, I just want to ask you about the Daily Show because I love watching you guys. I love the stuff that you do with Roy Wood Jr. and you guys are great together. But Trevor Noah, man, what a smart, smart guy that guy he is. Really, he's brought so much to this show.
Trevor's phenomenal. It's hard to not sit back and just learn. He has unique points of view on the American political system that are fresh every single day. So people ask me if working at the Daily Show has made me a better comedian, and without question, without besides just learning from my fellow correspondents, getting to be a front row seat to Trevor and kind of see how he handles all this stuff and how he manages to come up with funny takes, it's a great learning experience.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, thank you for all the laughs, I have to say, and thank you for this special. It's something that we really, really need right now. So I appreciate that. And thank you for your time today, Michael, and just happy holidays to you. And we'll see you in Toronto when you can cross that border.
Yes, thank you very much.